The third scout ship vanished without a trace, just like the others. In the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Confederation, High Administrator Vextal's crystalline form pulsed with agitated crimson light. The holographic display before them showed the last known coordinates of the missing vessel, a seemingly empty sector of space near the galactic arm designated as unexplored territory. That makes 7 ships in 3 solar cycles. First speaker Narajan noted, her feathered crest rippling with concern. All disappearing in the same region, all without distress signals. The chamber, normally filled with the soft hum of 100 different species in discourse, had fallen silent. The assembled representatives of the Confederation's member races watched as another red dot appeared on the star map, marking the latest disappearance. The Pathfinder ships were equipped with our most advanced sensors. Second speaker Karax clicked through his mandibles. Whatever is happening in that sector, it should not be possible to conceal it from our technology. High Administrator Vextal's crystalline surfaces reflected the star map's light as they shifted position. Perhaps it is time we acknowledge the pattern. These disappearances form a boundary, a perimeter around a specific volume of space. The holographic display zoomed out, revealing that the vanished ships had indeed traced an almost perfect sphere around an unremarkable cluster of stars. At the center lay a yellow dwarf star that the Confederation's automated surveys had marked as potentially life-bearing, pre-spaceflight civilization detected, scheduled for contact in approximately 300 standard years. Impossible. Karax chittered. The natives of that system are primitive. Our last survey showed they had barely achieved orbital flight. They cannot be responsible for this. First speaker Naraj Jen raised a taloned hand. When was our last detailed survey of that system? The question hung in the air for a moment before Vextal accessed the records. 47 standard years ago. A murmur ran through the chamber. In the fast-paced development of spacefaring civilizations, 47 years was an eternity. Send in the observer, Narajan commanded. No more scouts. We need to know what's happening in that sector. The observer was the pride of the Confederation's intelligence fleet, a ship designed to be completely undetectable, using technology that even most Confederation members didn't know existed. As it approached the boundary where the scout ships had vanished, its crew maintained complete communication silence. They need not have bothered. On Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Elena Santos watched the alien vessels approach on a quantum detection array that shouldn't have been possible for humanity to build. She took a sip of coffee from her well-worn mug and opened a secure channel. Control, we have another visitor. This one's using phase-shifted quantum fields for stealth, much more sophisticated than the previous scouts. Acknowledged, the calm voice of Control replied. Classification. Elena studied the readings. Design matches Confederation architecture, but the tech level is well above their public capabilities. This is probably their equivalent of a Black Ops ship. Assessment of risk. Low. They're here to observe, not engage. Recommend we let them see exactly what we want them to see. In the darkness of space, the observer's sensors probe the seemingly empty void. Captain Zillas, a veteran of countless surveillance missions, felt a growing unease. Something was wrong with this section of space, but he couldn't put his finger on what. Report, he commanded. His sensor officer, a member of a species that had evolved to process information faster than most computers, responded immediately. No signs of artificial structures, no energy signatures, no subspace distortions. Wait. The officer's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. That's the problem. Sir, there's nothing. Explain. Space is never this empty, sir. There should be random energy signatures, quantum fluctuations, background radiation. This sector is too perfect. Like someone cleaned it up. Xylus finished. Like someone is hiding everything. The realization came too late. The observer's sensors suddenly lit up as hundreds of satellites, stations, and ships simply appeared around them, dropping their quantum camouflage in perfect synchronization. The ship was surrounded by a level of technology that should not have existed in this sector of space. A transmission cut through their communication system, broadcasting on all frequencies in perfect Confederation standard. Confederation vessel, this is Earth Deep Space Control. We've been expecting you. Welcome to human space. In the Confederation Council chamber, the assembled representatives watched in stunned silence as the observer's feed showed the truth about the supposedly primitive human civilization. Massive space stations hung in the void, their designs unlike anything the Confederation had encountered. Ships of various sizes moved with precise coordination, their capabilities evident in their construction. How long? Vextal demanded. How long have they been watching us? The answer came through the feed, the human voice carrying a hint of amusement. We detected your first survey ships 300 years ago. We've been studying you ever since. Every transmission, every probe, every piece of debris that drifted into our space. We learned from all of it. We decided it was time to let you know that we see you. First speaker Naragen's feathers rippled with a mixture of fear and admiration. They didn't just achieve spaceflight. They achieved perfect stealth technology. They've been invisible to us by choice. On the observer's bridge, Captain Zillis watched as a human ship approached. Its design was elegant but clearly military, its capabilities far beyond what should have been possible for such a young civilization. Your ship will be escorted to Earth, the human controller continued. We believe it's time for proper introductions. Don't worry about your stealth systems. They're quite impressive, but we've been able to detect them since your last upgrade, about 15 years ago. We just didn't want you to know that. In her underwater command center, Dr. Santos watched the proceedings with satisfaction. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, building their capabilities in secret, studying their galactic neighbors without revealing themselves. They had turned their entire solar system into an invisible fortress, a feat of engineering and stealth technology that had just been revealed to an astonished Confederation. The game of hide and seek was over. Now came the truly interesting part, showing the galaxy that humanity had evolved not as conquerors, but as watchers, as guardians, as the ones who chose to learn and understand before revealing themselves. The silent watchers in the dark were stepping into the light, and the galaxy would never be the same. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the vast underground chamber of the Deep Space Archaeology Division, surrounded by artifacts that officially didn't exist. Pieces of alien technology salvaged from ancient battlefields, recovered from the edges of human space over centuries of patient collection. The Confederation delegation would arrive any minute now, and she would have the honor, or burden, of showing them exactly how humanity had learned so much while remaining hidden. They're here, her assistant Michael announced through the comm system. The Confederation representatives just cleared orbital security. Sarah straightened her lab coat and took a deep breath. Around her, holographic displays activated, showing the true scope of humanity's archaeological endeavors. Three-dimensional maps plotted the locations of every piece of alien technology humans had ever recovered, every battlefield they'd studied, every transmission they'd intercepted. The doors slid open with a soft hiss. First speaker Naragen entered first, her feathered crest extending in surprise as she took in the chamber. Behind her came High Administrator Vextal, their crystalline form refracting the holographic light, and second speaker Carax, whose mandibles clicked rapidly in what Sarah's xenolinguistics training identified as agitation. Welcome to the Deep Space Archaeology Division, Sarah said in perfect Confederation standard. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Chief of Historical Analysis. We've been looking forward to this meeting for a very long time. This is impossible, Carax chittered, moving to examine a partially reconstructed engine core. This is from a Drachnid warship, from the Third Expansion War. That was over 4,000 years ago. Sarah nodded. Found in the Oort cloud, approximately 247 years ago. It was our first major recovery, actually. The technology was far beyond our understanding at the time, but it gave us something crucial, proof that we weren't alone. and that the galaxy wasn't always peaceful. She led them deeper into the facility, past rows of carefully preserved artifacts. Each piece told a story of battles fought, of technologies lost, of civilizations risen and fallen. The Confederation representatives grew more agitated with each revelation. "Here's where it gets interesting," Sarah said, stopping before a massive holographic display. "We didn't just collect these artifacts. We studied them, reverse engineered them. And most importantly, we learned from the mistakes they represented." The display showed the evolution of human technology alongside recovered alien artifacts. But what caught the representatives' attention was how human development had taken different paths, avoiding the pitfalls evident in the ancient technologies. "You learned our languages," Narajan observed, her voice a mixture of admiration and concern. "All of them, before we ever made contact." Sarah smiled. "Languages, technology, culture, history, everything we could learn from analyzing debris and intercepting transmissions. We believed it was crucial to understand the galaxy before joining it." Vextal's crystalline surface pulsed with intense light. "The quantum stealth technology you use, it's not just advanced, it's completely different from anything in the Confederation. You didn't copy our technology. You developed your own path." "Correct," Sarah confirmed. "When we found pieces of stealth systems in the battlefield debris, we also found their weaknesses. So we developed something new, something that couldn't be detected by any known method in your technological tree." She led them to another section, where a massive screen showed a map of known space. Hundreds of dots marked the locations of human observation posts, hidden research stations, and stealth satellites, a vast network that had been invisible to the Confederation until now. "For 3 centuries, Sarah explained, we've been watching, learning, and preparing, not for war, but for understanding. We wanted to know everything about our galactic neighbors before we revealed ourselves." Krax moved to examine a particular artifact, his compound eyes reflecting the soft blue light of its stasis field. This is from the Sentinel crisis. When the autonomous defense systems went rogue, we lost thousands of ships finding a way to shut them down." "Yes," Sarah said quietly. "We were there, watching, learning, and—" She hesitated, then decided they were ready for the truth, helping in ways you never noticed. The revelation hung in the air. Narajan's feathers rippled with sudden understanding. The mysterious system failures in the rogue Sentinels, the unexplained shutdowns. "That was you." Sarah nodded. "We couldn't stand by and watch the slaughter. But we also knew the galaxy wasn't ready to know about us, so we found ways to help from the shadows. We've been doing it ever since, whenever we could without revealing ourselves." She led them to a final display, showing the full extent of human involvement in galactic affairs over the centuries. Subtle interventions, carefully calculated assistance, all designed to prevent disasters while maintaining their anonymity. "This is why we're revealing ourselves now," Sarah explained. "We believe the galaxy is ready for a new kind of relationship, not one of dominance or submission, but of mutual understanding and cooperation." Vextal's crystalline form had shifted to a deep blue, indicating deep thought. "You could have conquered us. With your level of technology, your understanding of our weaknesses. We could have," Sarah agreed. "But that's not who we chose to be. We looked at the artifacts in this room, at the evidence of ancient wars and fallen civilizations, and we decided to be something different, something new." Through her comlink, she received word that another delegation had arrived in orbit. "Now," she said, "would you like to see what else we've been working on? Our Deep Space Development Division has some innovations that I think you'll find fascinating." As she led them toward the next revelation, Sarah couldn't help but smile at their reactions. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, building not just technology but understanding. They had turned their entire civilization into something unprecedented, a species that chose to learn before revealing itself, to help from the shadows before stepping into the light. The artifacts around them were more than just relics of the past. They were the foundation of humanity's future, a future they were finally ready to share with their galactic neighbors. The echoes of yesterday had taught them how to build a better tomorrow. Commander James Martinez stood on the bridge of the EFSS Phantom, watching the stars shift through the quantum viewport. His vessel was the flagship of humanity's Ghost Fleet, although until yesterday, no one outside Earth's defense forces knew it existed. Now, as he prepared to demonstrate human military capabilities to the Confederation observers, he felt the weight of centuries of preparation. "Ghost Fleet, stand by for revelation sequence," he commanded, his voice carrying to the 100 ships currently invisible around him. "Remember, this is a demonstration of precision, not power." On the observation deck of the Phantom, the Confederation delegation watched in puzzled silence. To their eyes, the space around them was empty. First Speaker Nara Zhen turned to Admiral Sarah Chen, who had recently been promoted to handle military liaison duties. "I don't understand," Nara Zhen admitted. "Your commander mentioned a fleet, but our sensors detect nothing." Sarah smiled. "Watch." A signal pulsed from the Phantom, and suddenly space itself seemed to ripple. Like waves spreading across a pond, circles of distortion moved outward. Within each ripple, ships appeared. Not small patrol vessels, but massive warships, each bearing the distinctive angular design of human military architecture. Krax's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Impossible. Our sensors still show nothing. We can see them with our eyes. But quantum displacement technology," Sarah explained. "The ships exist slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. Traditional sensors can't detect them because they're looking in the wrong quantum state." Commander Martinez's voice came over the comm system. "Ghost Fleet, initiate demonstration pattern Alpha." The assembled ships began to move in perfect synchronization, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible for vessels of their size. They phased in and out of visibility, appearing and disappearing at will, their movements choreographed with impossible precision. "Each ship," Sarah continued, "can operate in multiple quantum states simultaneously. They can fire weapons from one state while being completely invulnerable in another. But more importantly, they can interact with normal space in ways that allow us to prevent conflict without causing harm." As if on cue, alarms blared through the ship. A group of vessels had just appeared at the edge of the system. Pirates, or so they claimed to be. In reality, they were a radical faction of the Confederation, here to test Earth's defenses. "Perfect timing," Martins muttered. "Ghost Fleet, initiate containment protocol. Non-lethal responses only." The human ships moved like shadows through space, their quantum drives allowing them to appear literally anywhere at will. The attacking vessels found themselves surrounded before they could react, their weapons targeted by systems they couldn't detect, their engines subjected to localized quantum field disruptions that gently brought them to a stop. "As you can see," Sarah said to the increasingly astonished Confederation representatives, "we prefer to end conflicts without destruction. Each of these ships could easily destroy your entire attack fleet. Instead, they're disabling them without causing any damage or casualties." High Administrator Vextel's crystalline form pulsed with rapid color changes. "This technology, it violates our understanding of physics." "No," Sarah corrected gently. "It just operates on principles you haven't discovered yet. We found hints of quantum manipulation in ancient battlefield debris, but the civilizations that created it only saw its potential for destruction. We saw something different. On the main view screen, the pirate ships hung motionless in space, caught in quantum fields that rendered their technology useless without harming their crews. Ghost Fleet vessels phased in and out around them, collecting data and preparing for peaceful resolution. 3 centuries ago," Sarah continued, "humanity looked to the stars and saw evidence of conflict everywhere. We found fragments of ancient weapons, traces of battles that had devastated entire sectors. We decided then that when we finally revealed ourselves to the galaxy, we would bring something different. Not just new technology, but new ways of thinking about how to use it. Commander Martinez's voice came over the comm again. Hostile vessels contained. No casualties. No damage to ships or systems. Ready for diplomatic intervention. The Confederation representatives watched in stunned silence as human boarding teams phased directly onto the disabled ships, bypassing all security systems. Within minutes, the situation was resolved. The radical faction's leaders were in custody, and their crews were being treated with respect and dignity. "This is why we waited so long to reveal ourselves," Sarah explained. "We needed to perfect not just the technology, but the discipline to use it wisely. Every ship in our fleet could devastate a solar system. Instead, they serve as guardians, peacekeepers, and when necessary, very gentle reminders that violence isn't the answer." Narajan's feathers rippled with emotion. "Your ships could have conquered the galaxy. Instead, they'd been secretly protecting it. How many conflicts have you prevented without anyone knowing?" Sarah smiled mysteriously. "More than you might imagine. And now that we've revealed ourselves, we hope to prevent even more. This time with the Confederation's cooperation rather than from the shadows." The Ghost Fleet reformed around them, ships phasing in and out of visibility in a display of precision and control. Each vessel represented not just advanced technology, but humanity's choice to use their capabilities for protection rather than dominance. The art of invisibility, Sarah concluded, isn't just about not being seen. It's about choosing when and how to be visible, about understanding that true power lies not in destruction, but in the ability to prevent it. As the demonstration concluded, the Confederation representatives began to understand that they weren't just witnessing a display of military might. They were seeing the future of peacekeeping, written in quantum fields and invisible ships, guided by a species that had spent centuries learning how to be powerful without being dangerous. The Galactic Archives were considered the most secure facility in Confederation space. Yet Director Marcus Wong walked through its halls with the calm assurance of someone who had been here many times before, though officially this was humanity's first visit. Behind him, the Confederation delegation tried to process what he had just revealed. "You're saying," first speaker Narajan struggled with the concept, "that humans have been preventing interstellar wars for the past century, without anyone knowing." Marcus stopped before a holographic display showing the Arcturus conflict, a diplomatic crisis that had nearly erupted into war 20 years ago. With a gesture, he brought up another display, this one showing human intervention logs that had never been seen outside Earth's secure databases. "The Arcturus conflict is a perfect example," he explained. 3 major powers on the brink of war over contested resources. Traditional diplomacy had failed. Military forces were mobilizing. And then, mysteriously, key communication systems began experiencing selective failures. The hologram showed the subtle ways humans had intervened. Delayed messages that prevented escalation. Mysterious sensor ghosts that made military commanders hesitate. Small system failures that bought time for cooler heads to prevail. "We call it the Sentinel Protocol," Marcus continued. "A set of rules and procedures for maintaining peace without direct intervention. We never choose sides. We never advance our own interests. We simply create opportunities for peace." High Administrator Vextel's crystalline form pulsed with realization. The Proxima incident. The mysterious sensor failures that prevented a first strike. The communications blackout that forced both sides to send actual diplomats instead of threats. "That was you." Marcus nodded, along with dozens of other potential conflicts that never made it into the history books because they were prevented before they could begin. "Our stealth technology allowed us to position assets throughout Confederation space. Our quantum communications let us coordinate interventions without being detected, and our understanding of your technology helped us find non-destructive ways to prevent violence." He led them deeper into the archives, to a section that had been locked moments before their arrival. Inside was a complete record of human peacekeeping operations spanning over a century. The scale of their intervention was staggering. "The hardest part wasn't the technology," Marcus explained. It was developing the discipline to watch civilizations make mistakes without directly interfering. We had to learn when to act, and more importantly, when not to. Every intervention was carefully calculated to prevent war while allowing natural cultural development. Cracks moved to examine the records of a particular intervention. The hegemony crisis. We always wondered why their assault fleet suffered such convenient mechanical failures. Their entire invasion force was stranded in deep space. Quantum field manipulation, Marcus confirmed. We couldn't directly attack them. That would have violated the Sentinel protocol. So instead, we created localized probability fields that caused their engines to fail. By the time they got running again, the diplomatic situation had changed, and war was no longer profitable. Narajan's feathers rippled thoughtfully. These protocols of yours, they're remarkably sophisticated, not just technologically, but ethically. You've created a framework for intervention that preserves free will while preventing the worst outcomes. Marcus brought up another display, this one showing the current state of known space. Thousands of human observation posts, stealth platforms, and hidden peacekeeping assets were revealed, forming a vast network of silent guardians. We learned from your history, he said. Every civilization in the Confederation's records has, at some point, tried to police the galaxy. They used force, or economic pressure, or technological superiority. And they all failed because they tried to impose their will directly. He gestured at the display. We chose a different path. Instead of trying to control events, we focused on preventing catastrophes. We never tell anyone what they must do. We simply make it easier to choose peace than war. The delegation moved through the records, seeing conflict after conflict that had been quietly diffused. Border disputes that mysteriously resolved themselves. Resource wars that never began because of unexplained discoveries of alternatives. Pirates who found their sophisticated targeting systems suddenly unable to track civilian ships. And now, Vextal asked, now that we know about you. Marcus smiled. Now we hope to work together. Earth is revealing itself because we believe the galaxy is ready for a new approach to peacekeeping. Not through force or dominance, but through cooperation and understanding. He brought up a final display, showing a proposed framework for joint human confederation peacekeeping operations. We're not asking you to adopt our methods. We're offering to share our experience, our technology, and our perspective. Together, we can build something better than either of us could achieve alone. The implications slowly sank in. Humanity hadn't just been watching the galaxy. They had been actively protecting it, preventing wars and saving lives without anyone realizing they were there. They had turned their entire civilization into an invisible shield, protecting others while asking nothing in return. The Sentinel Protocol has one fundamental rule, Marcus concluded. We do not impose peace. We merely make it easier to choose it. Now that you know about us, about what we've been doing, the choice is yours. Will you work with us to build a better galaxy? As the delegation pondered this question, alerts flashed across the archive's displays. Another crisis was brewing in a distant sector. Another opportunity for peace was presenting itself. The silent guardians of Earth were ready to act, as they had been for centuries. But now, perhaps, they wouldn't have to act alone. 1 year after humanity's revelation to the galaxy, the Earth Orbital Conference Center hosted an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from every Confederation species filled the quantum-shielded chamber, their attention focused on the massive holographic display at its center. Dr. Elena Santos, now Earth's chief of galactic integration, stood before them, preparing to unveil humanity's grandest initiative yet. For centuries, she began, Earth worked in secret, developing technologies and methods to preserve peace. Today, we're proposing something unprecedented, a complete integration of human and Confederation capabilities, creating a new framework for galactic stability. The hologram shifted, revealing a vast network of interconnected systems, quantum communication relays, phase-shifted observation posts, and rapid response peacekeeping units, all working in perfect harmony. But unlike the hidden network humanity had maintained before, this one would be transparent, jointly operated by humans and Confederation species alike. High Administrator Vextel's crystalline form gleamed with interest. You're proposing to share everything. Your quantum technology, your stealth systems. More than that, Elena replied. We're proposing to share our perspective, our ways of thinking about power and responsibility. The Sentinel Protocol wasn't just about technology. It was about understanding when not to use it. First speaker Narajen stepped forward, her feathers shimmering with excitement. The trial integration projects have been remarkable. Human quantum systems linking with our traditional networks, creating capabilities neither of us had alone. But more importantly, human methodologies of subtle intervention have prevented 3 major conflicts in just the past month. The hologram updated, showing the results of these early collaboration efforts. Confederation ships equipped with simplified versions of human quantum drives now served as rapid response peacekeepers. Joint human-alien crews staffed observation posts throughout known space, combining different species' perspectives and capabilities. The key understanding, Elena continued, was that true power isn't about having the strongest weapons or the most advanced technology. It's about having the wisdom to use what you have correctly. Humanity spent centuries developing that wisdom in secret. Now we want to develop it further together. She gestured, and the hologram showed something new. Educational exchanges between species, joint research projects, and cultural integration programs. We're not just sharing technology. We're sharing ideas, perspectives, ways of thinking. The Confederation brings centuries of open galactic experience. Humanity brings centuries of careful observation and innovative problem-solving. Together, we're creating something entirely new. Krax, who had been studying the technical specifications, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. These integrated systems, they're not just combinations of our technologies. They're completely new developments that would have been impossible for either of us alone. Elena smiled. Exactly. When we revealed ourselves to the galaxy, we didn't just want to share what we had. We wanted to build something better than any single species could create. The quantum traditional hybrid drives your engineers and ours developed together are more efficient than either original technology. The combined sensor networks can detect threats neither of us could see alone. The hologram shifted again, showing the future they were building. Space stations where different species work together, sharing knowledge and perspectives. Ships that combine the best aspects of multiple civilizations' technologies. But most importantly, it showed a galaxy where peace was maintained not through force or fear, but through understanding and cooperation. Humanity's greatest achievement, Elena explained, wasn't developing advanced technology or maintaining secrecy for centuries. It was learning how to watch, understand, and help without imposing our will. We learned that true peace can't be forced. It has to be chosen. Now we're sharing that understanding with the galaxy. The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives debated the implications, but unlike the fearful arguments of a year ago, these were enthusiastic exchanges of ideas and possibilities. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion now worked together, combining their strengths and compensating for each other's weaknesses. A young Drachnid diplomat, part of the first Joint Human Confederation training program, raised an interesting point. We're not just preventing wars anymore. We're making them obsolete. When species truly understand each other, conflict becomes less appealing than cooperation. Elena nodded. That's the real goal. Not just keeping the peace, but building a galaxy where peace is the natural state, where different species work together, not because they have to, but because they want to. The hologram showed one final image, the symbol of the new Joint Peacekeeping Initiative. It combined elements from human and Confederation designs, representing not the dominance of any one species, but the harmony of many working together. A year ago, Elena concluded, humanity stepped out of the shadows because we believed the galaxy was ready for a new approach. Today, seeing all of you here, Seeing what we've already accomplished together, we know we were right. This isn't just a new dawn for humanity or for the Confederation. It's a new dawn for the entire galaxy. As the chamber filled with sounds of agreement and approval, Belina looked out at the Earth slowly rotating below the station. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, developing not just technology, but wisdom. They had learned to be powerful without being threatening, to help without controlling, to guide without imposing. Now, as the sun rose over Earth's horizon, it illuminated not just humanity's home, but a new era of galactic cooperation. The silent guardians had stepped into the light, and in doing so, they had helped the entire galaxy find a better way forward. The art of invisibility had served its purpose. Now it was time for the art of cooperation to shape the future.